Hello and welcome to your weekly bite of the Doughnut Bacon Cheeseburger brought to you by the team at electrifying.com. This week we'll be talking about Tesla's plan for UK energy, the Polestar that went on and on and on and on, and the concept that sort of tells us how the new Vauxhall Corsa is going to look. We'll also be answering your electric car questions and dipping into the postbag to find out your views on last week's episode. Welcome to the Kilowatt Half Hour. I'm Tom.
And I am Vicky. And before we go any further, I think we deserve a special mention for David Johnson, who messaged us from the US. And he wrote, "Hey guys, love the show. And it's nice to hear about things that don't have to do with our president." Fair enough. It's state fair time here in the US, and crazy food is a hallmark of these events. So how about welcome to your weekly bite of the Doughnut Bacon Cheeseburger, which is where your, I have to say, highly calorific introduction that you got came from. So he's even sent a picture, which now I've actually heard of donut burgers. I can't remember where from, but I think they are a thing in the UK somewhere as well. It sounds a bit much to me, but yeah.
You could have a cronut burger. You know, the cronut is a croissant and a donut.
They look great. I'm all for that, but I think the kind of the bacon cheeseburger donut things a bit. I mean, it makes it it's a bit much, but yeah, fair enough. I do hope that you are enjoying the state fair time over there anyway, David. So yeah, thank you for that.
I think my son would quite like that, but when I'm king, I'm going to ban dessert things in savoury. So like pineapple on pizza, out. Raisins in curries, out. Anything sweet, no. Shouldn't be allowed. So
yeah. See, I think in my not so benign dictatorship, all I'm going to do is ensure that anybody who doesn't walk on a travelator at the airport, who hasn't got a reasonable disability or excuse for not walking on the travelator, is given serious capital punishment. I think probably equally if they don't put their trays back in at security at the airport. I'm mostly concerned about airport etiquette, whereas clearly you're worried about sweet and savoury. So yeah, that's my thinking.
I think that's all perfectly reasonable. Yeah,
I think between us, we'd actually be we'd have a really excellent country between us. Fine, we've got all our priorities sorted.
So what have you been up to other than in your dictatorship?
Other than getting really angry at people in the airport, yes. I've been actually I haven't been on holiday yet, and I've been mostly UK bound, and I have been I've been sort of just mostly steering the old electrifying desk, just doing lots of stuff back end of the website. I have, however, had an updated Genesis G80 electrified, which has been really, really nice. Really nice. So you can check out electrifying.com because I will get the updated review of that live. It's like Genesis' version of the S-Class, and it's very, very lovely, I have to say. I'm very much enjoying the Bang & Olufsen audio, I'll be honest. That's one of the highlights for me. It's absolutely stunning sound system. So
you can look back through the old episodes when we were discussing which are the best songs to test the stereos.
Yes, I need to do that, actually. I do need to. I used to quite like a bit of, this will probably divide opinions, I quite like a bit of Kate Bush and Wuthering Heights for that.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a good one. It's a good song, that, for testing a sound system.
Yeah. No, I think everyone finally agreed that Money for Nothing is really good. Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you need the bass, don't you? That's the thing. That's good. Right. What are we on to? We're on to news stories. I mean, what have you been up to, Tom? I haven't actually asked you. It's very rude of me.
I went away for a week, just to the UK. I went to Suffolk, and I discovered a lesser spotted free electric charge point.
No, really? They still exist?
I know. Well, I drove there, and this was in the Grand Land, and it's got a genuine 300 mile range in this sort of weather, and it's only 80 miles away. But while I was there, I thought, well, I'll just top up so I've got enough to go around, and so plugged in, and it's like, right, okay, go onto the app. Went onto the app, and it said charging, and I thought, I haven't entered any payment details. Maybe it won't let me unplug until I've entered them, and then went and had some lunch and did some shopping and all that sort of thing. Came back to the car and unplugged it and thought, oh, free charge. So I was like,
wow.
I wonder if that was a mistake or something. So went back a couple of days later, had some more lunch. No, got to 100% charge on a public car, but 22 kilowatt charger, and then drove home and plugged in here and thought, well, that journey cost me almost nothing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are still out there, aren't they? But they're few and far between now. So I think you got lucky there. But that's really good. That's awesome.
Yeah. The
So
other
yeah.
really weird thing, and I've never had this before, driving along country lane, and I hear this like this horrible drumming. I'm like, it's another puncture. I thought, I can't believe it. You don't have a puncture for 10 years or something, two within a month. And I'm like, oh. So pulled over, had a look, nothing. This is a bit weird. So carried on. It's sort of getting a bit worse. Right, well, I'll try and get to some sort of civilization on a main road, because this was a country lane, and see if I can pull in there. So I got onto a main road, accelerated away, stopped. Nothing of the rest of the journey. So parked up, went did some things, came back, tyres fine, drove home, fine, got to the same bit of road. And I think the road had recently been, surface dressed, where they just throw the chippings on
Yeah.
top. And it gone like, on desert roads, you get those corrugations where something causes them to go like that. It was that. It was this road. But also what we saw on the way back was other people stopped looking at their tyres thinking they had a puncture. Never had it before in 40 years of driving or something. So it's
No
nuts.
way. That's
Yeah,
amazing, isn't
so
it? I mean, I know I did it actually. Funnily enough, well, it was a little while ago now, but I think I was in an electric XC40, and I was on the M25, and the section of concrete, which is always really noisy on the M25, but the noise was so intense. I was like, there has to be something wrong with the tire. This can't possibly be right. And I remember pulling over into the next services, and at Cobham or whatever it was, I think, and just checking, because I was like, something's got to be wrong. But it was, because I remember just that section on the M25. Every time I drive over it, I know how noisy this is. The car's fine, but it just makes such an awful noise. But yeah, fair enough. That must be just a really kind of unusual road surface that you hit there. But at least you didn't have another puncture. That's the good thing, right? So
that is the good thing. Yeah,
I know. I do sort of miss space savers in EVs. I do. There's so few and far between EVs that actually have a space saver tire, or indeed a full spare tire.
you could have
one
an
of the
Emoda
good
5.
things.
Would you have an Emoda 5
Yes.
just for the spare wheel?
No, I wouldn't. No, I'm sorry. But I am impressed with the spare wheel. I was trying to think as I was saying that. I was like, I don't know. The plug-in hybrid Land Rovers, they still have spare tires, don't they? I think they've managed to package that. I think that's one of the features that they've managed to keep. So that's something. But yeah, I do miss a spare tire, I have to say. Anyway, what else is going on apart from not having flat tires? Thankfully, what's going on in the news then, Tom?
Well, Elon's going to fight octopus.
Of course he
That's
is.
my headline of the week.
Is that a film? I don't...
it does sound like some weird fetish film, doesn't it?
It does.
No, there's been an application to Ofgem, which is the company, the organisation which looks after all the energy companies in the UK, the overseers of it, to apply for a license to become an electricity supplier from Tesla. So in about 8 months, we can expect them to have some sort of energy company. Now, there are no other details about it, but you can kind of imagine how it is. They have an operation in Texas where if you're a Tesla car owner or you have a Powerwall, you can get very cheap electricity overnight, and then you can feed it back into the grid in a sort of V2G style. So we can kind of imagine they're going to do the same thing here, because they will have been a bit bruised, won't they, by that whole BYD and Octopus deal, where Octopus for was it 199 a month or something, or is it 299, isn't it? They'll give you a dolphin and a charger and free electricity, basically. So but you have to have it plugged in all the time so they can do the vehicle to grid stuff and balance the grid. So they'll have gone, ooh, don't like the look of that.
I mean, I think this is kind of good news, isn't it? Because it's going to just force better competition among the industry. So I would have said that it's a good thing, personally. I was quite interested to see in the news story that there's estimated 10,000 Powerwalls in the UK, which I thought was quite good news. That was a bit more than I would have guessed that, actually. So that's cool. But yeah, I'd like a Powerwall. I think it's good news, but it'll be interesting to see how quickly it happens and how that pans out and all that kind of thing. So yeah. Yes. What else is happening in the news? So we have got Polestar. Polestar have done they've done a range test on the Polestar 3, and they have managed to do 581 miles to a single charge. Now, I think that's pretty impressive, but the problem is that I think that these sort of stories, if you actually look at the details, clearly it's impressive. So I'm very, I'm all for Polestar doing this kind of thing. But the overall average was 5.13 miles per kilowatt hour, which for a car that has, what is it, 111 kilowatt hour, the Polestar 3,
Mm,
it's a big car, powerful car. So that's not terrible, but it's also, it's not going to impress anybody that's got a Hyundai Ioniq, is it? The old,
mm,
it still feels to me like good but not exceptional efficiency, even for a big
mm,
car. So I was a little bit kind of, yes, it's an impressive range, but I want to see headlines about efficiency rather than just
mm.
sheer. I managed to do this range by doing, averaging 25 miles an hour from an enormous battery. So
Yeah.
sorry, Polestar. I mean, I get it. It's a nice headline, very well done. And equally, next time, can we hear about the miles per kilowatt hour rather than just the range,
Mm.
please? Pretty please. So
Did you
yeah, that'd
remember?
be good.
Did you ever do one of those economy runs in the old days?
I have done an economy run before, yeah, in both a diesel car and I've done it in EVs and this kind of thing. So it's really
Mm,
hard to drive a car super efficiently like
mm,
that. This was yeah. So this guy was it's a sort of a professional. Here we go, professional efficiency drivers: Sam Clark, Kevin Booker, and Richard Parker. So fair play to those guys. They took turns at the wheel in 3-hour stints over a 23-hour run in the Polestar. So it is
mm.
exhausting driving a car like that, actually. So yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Well, there used to be a kind of annual competition for petrol cars and diesels to see who could do the biggest thing. I can't remember the name of it now, but it was basically the winner would be the car that got the best figure over its official fuel consumption figure. And it was rather ruined when somebody we both know who worked as a PR turned up with a Corvette, which of course nobody cared about the economy figures. They hadn't like fiddled them like most manufacturers do. They were just like, yes, it's 17 mpg, and then drove it around in sixth at 20 miles an hour, being very, very careful, and got this like 100% improvement and beat all
Yeah,
these people in 1.4
excellent.
diesels. And after that, the
Yeah,
economy run kind of died a death because no one was interested anymore. It wasn't really in the spirit, they thought.
yeah, I know. It was we had a sort of years and years ago now, a chap who, well, some of our listeners may know of, and you certainly do, Tom, a journalist called Mike Duff. On when I was on Autocar, we came up with the idea of doing I think it was a gallon of fuel, and we had a variety of vehicles, and including we had a Prius and we had various others, and it was basically a race to see who could go furthest around Bruntingthorpe track on a gallon of fuel in all of these different cars. So you had everybody. Some people were just trying to obviously sitting behind other vehicles, and there was all different kind of I think it was Matt Pryor that won in the end. I can't remember what he was driving. Anyway, you'll have to forgive me for the lack of detail on that because it literally
Mm,
came to mind as you were chatting about it, but I remember it being good fun. Those sort of economy
mm,
things they are interesting. But yeah,
mm.
doing it in a Corvette was a stroke of genius for sure. So there
Mhm.
we go.
Well, the other thing in the news, talking of fast cars, is the Vauxhall concept, which we have teaser pictures of on the website. If it's before the 20th of August, if it's after the 20th of August, you'll be able to see the full thing and the video. So we can't say much about it because this will go out before the 20th of August, except that it looks nice in those teaser pictures,
Mm.
and we have seen it, haven't we?
Yes, we have, and it's worth waiting around, I would say.
Mm,
So yeah,
mm,
wait and see. So I think it's sort of later in August, isn't it, that you're going to see the
mm.
full details of it, and
Yeah.
it's I don't know, I don't think this is breaking any embargoes, but I would say that I'd say I'm more interested in this than in the 208 GTI, and maybe we should just leave it
Yes.
there. I find
Yes.
so
Because
there you go. That's something to look forward to.
it's got horsepower, and it goes
Exactly.
fast,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it hints at
Exactly.
a future car, which is the
I'm going to stop now because I know that I'm going to say something I'm not allowed to say.
There'll be a SWAT
So
team from Vauxhall
yeah,
coming through the
exactly,
window.
exactly, yeah, precisely. They're listening. They're listening to everything I'm saying.
Now,
Okay,
talking of fast hatchbacks, I have some bargains for you.
excellent. This is good
Would
news.
you rather? So it's the first appearance in the leasing prices of the Alpine A290. £305 a month, which is about
Oh,
50 quid more than a basic, well, a normal Renault 5, a kind of mid-range Renault 5. So
Yeah.
would you?
Yes.
Or would you save 32 quid a month and have a Cupra Born V1?
Hmm. That is tough, isn't it? Because the Born, it's a lot better in the rear passenger seats. And I mean,
Have you driven
if I'm
both? Have you
honest,
driven the
I
Alpine?
have. I
Mm,
have. Yeah, I've driven the
mm,
A290 and I've driven the Born, and they're
mm,
both fantastic cars, really good. I mean, if I'm being honest about, like, boring life practicalities, I would go for the Born because I can get more stuff in it. So it would probably just suit me a bit better. But if I sort of, don't worry about that, forget about the fact that I've got, a kid and dogs and all of that nonsense, I'd have the Alpine. Yeah, why not?
mm,
Why not? Yeah,
mm,
let's go for the Alpine. I mean, it's such a cool thing. It just looks
mm,
brilliant, and I really like the Born, but I mean, the Alpine is a whole other level of sort of,
mm.
I've succeeded in life, really, if you've got that on your driveway. I think so. Yeah, it's cool. It's a great thing. What would you have?
Well, I really like the Born. I haven't driven the Alpine yet, but I just like the Born, so I think I'll probably have that and take the change and buy a curry every month. But I did see I did see the Alpine. There was one that was coming towards me the other day, and those lights are really funky. So the front lights,
It's
those
so
kind
cool.
of crosses
Yeah,
where like rally car style up high. I really like
yeah.
that.
No, I
Mm,
have. Yeah, I really like the A290. I think you'd enjoy it. They're quite different prospects, really. The Born and the Alpine. But yeah, isn't it just? Well, I don't know. Isn't it just so good that we've got this kind of these options coming through now at such good prices as well? It's really good,
mm,
really good. But
mm.
yeah, make mine an Alpine. Go on, and I'll just forget about the family. They can stay at home. It's fine. Be all right.
And I think today our new used car section's gone up on the website. So there's lots of research that I can do with our new preferred partner stuff, which has battery checks as standard on them. So I'm going to
Yeah.
be going in there and having a good look because there are some bargains, and I'm hopefully going to be doing a used car bargain in this spot every week as well, with some
Yeah.
special deals for people. So that'll be
There's some
fun.
great options out there, isn't there? I do think. And
Mm,
also, when you're sort of shopping for a used EV somewhere like on electrifying.com, where if you know that you can get the battery test done and you know what the actual usable capacity of that exact battery is when you're buying it, it's a whole other level of peace of mind, isn't it? We've been going on about that
mm.
for a long time. So yeah, I think
And they're
it's
quite
great.
high,
Really
aren't
good.
they? Have you looked at any of them? You look at them, you think, well, it's going to be like 90% or something. It's like, no, it's
Uh,
quite high, and even the ones with
yeah.
big miles and things are really high. So
Yeah.
it's nice
Well,
to
I
know that
did
the
that.
batteries are lasting.
We had it's all Tesla stuff, isn't it? We've had couple of high mileage Teslas recently. We had
Mm,
the Model S and the Model 3 in the last year, and both of them were on sort of 90-ish% battery. The Model 3 was on 90% with 180,000 miles on the clock, and the
mm,
Model S, um, I think it was a bit less than that, but that had 260, I think. But it's
mm.
amazing. I think I saw a thing come up the other day. Somebody had a Model 3 with 300,000 miles on it, and it was only 5 years old, I think, this Model 3, because it had been an airport taxi. It's amazing. Really,
Wow.
really impressive stuff. But yeah,
Mm,
I mean,
mm,
for anybody, think about an EV. It is same as me. Whenever I've looked at getting used EVs, the first thing you want to know is what the battery capacity is on it. So having it sort of good transparency like that makes a big difference. So yeah, go and check it
mm,
out.
mm, mm. Should we do some questions from the listeners?
Yes, go on then. Let's do
Uh,
that. You're going to
shall I
start?
do the first one? Yeah. So
Yeah,
John, that's all we know, says, "Hi team, thanks very much for your videos and podcast. The very first electrifying YouTube video I saw was in 2020 with Ginny reviewing the used BMW i3. Fast forward 5 years, and now we're looking for an i3. We've always loved the fresh looks and design, so now we have the opportunity to own one as a future classic. Good call, good call. We spotted a 71 reg in sweet spec with most of the options we prefer. The odd thing is that it's in 3.75 years, it has only travelled just under 2,300 miles in West London. Potentially, that suggests it might have only been charged up as little as 12 times in its life. We've requested the diagnostic report for the drive battery from the BMW dealer. I think we're better asked for the 12-volt ancillary battery too. What do you think we should expect to find or look for? Another bizarre detail is this car was spec with 22 kilowatt charging ability. Well, what batteries don't like is being completely charged and left
mm,
or completely discharged and left. So in those 2,300 miles, if it's been left at kind of between 20 and 80%, I think it will be fine. There should be
yeah,
no problem with it.
agreed.
if it hasn't been for whatever reason, if somebody's plugged it in and then gone to live in Dubai for 6 months of the year or something, then it could be an issue. But I think you can look at on i3s, you can go into the menu and get a battery diagnostic anyway. We've got a
Yeah.
used BMW i3 buying guide on YouTube, I think, quite a long one, which was written by Mike, who's a BMW i3 owner, so he should know. And it tells you how to check the battery there. But the getting the diagnostic from the dealer is a good idea too. The 12-volt battery, yeah, that is a potential issue, but they're not expensive in the big scheme of things. The other thing I would check on an i3 is the tyres, because I know from Mike that there's only one company who make them, which I think is Bridgestone, and they are spenny because they're a weird size.
Yeah, they're really odd because they're really sort of narrow. They're sort of narrow, but with quite a chunky sidewall, aren't they? So, yeah, I would agree with all of that. I think that's pretty spot on. I would also still be pushing for the proper diagnostic report because although the i3 does have a readout on the system, it's not as precise as actually having a proper diagnostic report. And yeah, similar to what you said, I wouldn't really worry too much about the 12 volts. Even if you do need a new battery, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, it's a great car, the i3. So if you get low mileage one like that has been properly maintained, then it could be a really good one. So yeah, just have to wait for the proper report. What else have we got? So we have got at John Humphreys 9887. He says, I'm pleased to hear there's an Octavia estate planned for the future. However, I'm looking for something a little sooner that will easily swallow a Newfoundland dog, which is a giant breed of dog. Any suggestions or recommendations on something that's already on the market? So we're looking for electric cars with big boots. Obviously, Ginny's favourite, the Skoda Enyaq, is going to be up there, isn't it? But I am going to go back to, again, this is not going to surprise anybody. I'm sorry, everybody. I am going to talk about the ID7 again because I think an ID7 Tourer would be a better option than an Enyaq because it's got a lower load lip and it's got an even bigger boot. So I would definitely check out the ID7 Tourer if you can stretch to it. And there are some great used examples, including, of course, on electrifying.com. So you should check that out because I still really rate the ID7 as a great option for dog owners, particularly the Tourer. What else? The Grandland. You mentioned the Grandland earlier. That's not a bad option, is it? Really, especially great lease prices.
Nice. It's quite high to jump up into, I suppose.
Yeah. Newfoundlands aren't great for that. Aren't great for jumping. They're not agile dogs, I don't think. But you can get the steps or the ramps, can't you? So
yeah, or a crane. Yeah,
or a crane. Yeah.
Renault Scenic.
I actually wouldn't recommend it really because it's quite. It is got a big boot capacity by literage, but the problem is it's all in the depth. So your Newfoundland would have to sort of steeplechase over the boot lip and into the sort of whirl of space. So you can get a boot floor for the Scenic as a dealer fit, which is great. So that's a variable boot floor, but then obviously you've got much less boot space. So I don't think the Scenic would be the best option. But
a bit like a puma. Can you imagine a Newfoundland going into a puma and disappearing into that enormous hull?
Yeah, it's not a dissimilar thing. Yeah, precisely. You've got that sort of thing. Or I'm sure I'm forgetting something really obvious here. So you could look at the Peugeot 5008 has got an enormous boot. So that's if you don't mind the Stellantis stuff, I think the 5008 is pretty good actually. You could check that out. Again, some reasonable used examples around already, or lease prices are quite decent. And it's a 7-seater, but you can fold all the seats flat. So you've got that kind of flexibility too. Again, probably not the lowest load lip. Yeah, I think, I'm just trying to think of what would be sort of maybe a sort of cheaper.
There's all that Stellantis van stuff, van-based stuff, if you're not too...
That would be great if you don't need the range. Yeah. So there's a lot of options out there, but I think all that sort of covers the obvious ones. You could look at Model Y, I have to say, because they are really good for boot space and stuff. Maybe not so much for the depth of the boot, but they've got a nice big boot floor. So if that would suit you. Or your Newfoundland, indeed. But excellent choice of dog. I love a Newfoundland. Right, Tom, what's next?
Judith Kitchingman, 4419, said, I'd like your opinions on the effect of brakes on driving full-time in e-pedal mode. I recently had a faulty tyre valve and had it fixed. I received dire warnings about my rusting brake discs due to lack of use of the brakes due to it using the e-pedal all the time. I've had to turn it off so I can use my brakes for a few weeks. What is everyone's experience or opinion of this? Thanks. Now, Mike from our team said he's had to replace the discs on his i3 because they rusted out, and I had to do it on our Leaf as well. So for people who don't know, regen braking just uses the motor to slow the car down, and therefore you're getting all the energy back. But the downside of that is that your brake discs don't get used. And a bit like if I get it when I've just washed the car, or when it's been sitting for a while after really heavy rain, and you get that kind of as the pads first touch the discs for the first time. So I used to just once in a while, after I'd expensively replaced all the brakes on the Leaf, just used to do a look round me, just do a bit of a heavy brake to bring them in. I know Audi, there was an engineer telling me that the regen on the Q6 is so strong that the brakes are hardly ever used except in real dire emergencies. So they have, I mean, this sounds ridiculous, but they have a sensor that knows when the surface of the discs is starting to corrode and just gives them a little
really?
wipe once. Yeah,
that's really clever, isn't it?
I mean, we will get to the stage, no doubt, where conventional brakes are just gone. They're no longer needed. I know there are concept cars already of that, where there's nothing. But people get funny about on cars like the Born. There were all these people on YouTube saying, "Oh, it's only got drums at the back. That's ridiculous. That's not safe." Well, of course, it's safe, and they don't corrode. That's the other advantage of drums, is they don't corrode, whereas discs do. So, I would just advise, if you have an electric car, just once in a while, just brake heavily, making sure no one's going to drive into the back of you, or you're not going to upset everyone. Just give it a little nudge.
Yeah, it's this sort of thing, isn't it? That I spoke to somebody recently who was talking about that again, their Tesla, and they were saying that because there's no specific service schedule for a Tesla. In fact, they sort of encourage that you don't really need to service it at all, and it's that sort of thing, isn't it? Because obviously a Tesla similarly will just be using its regen braking all the time, as with most EVs. So you wonder whether that sort of thing is the kind of thing that's going to go unnoticed if you don't have a regular service schedule, that sort of checkup. You'd hope that an MOT, I suppose, which obviously any car is still, that would get picked up then, I guess. But anyway, crossed my mind that might be an aspect of it. But interesting. And definitely something to look out for, I think. Right, shall we do from the comments? We have got, I'll start with @Pia Walker. He says, I find adaptive cruise, I assume it's a he, may not be. I find adaptive cruise control quite alarming when driving on a motorway and the lane to the right stops or slows down because of congestion, etc. But my car sees nothing ahead and ploughs on, undertaking vehicles to my right at high speed. Very worrying. Otherwise, it's wonderful. Similar. Okay, we've also got @JonkeyHearts. I've tried adaptive cruise control, but I'm not a fan. I like to feel in control. This is all very much what I was saying recently as well, in terms of being very much a Luddite about not really wanting to, not really even liking adaptive cruise control. Never mind a sort of full, the sort of full. Well, I say full, semi. What is it called? Yes,
autonomous driving.
Yes,
is that what you mean?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that stuff. So the sort of more where you got like the BMW i5 with the lane change stuff and this kind of thing. And so all about the adaptive cruise control here. So it's what have we got? @DC various vids 8082. I've never used adaptive cruise and wouldn't trust it. If I want someone else's logic to do my thinking, I get a taxi or catch the bus. As to lane keep and lane follow assists, I hate both with a passion. Well, there you go. It's interesting, isn't it? I sort of feel similar. I do use adaptive cruise control occasionally in the especially average speed cameras, that kind of thing. But I don't love it. I do, like I've said before, I just find myself, I don't know how you feel, Tom, I find I'm more tense using adaptive cruise control or any of the semi-autonomous functions because I'm waiting for the car to make a mistake rather than if I just drive the car myself and I know what's happening. So, yeah.
Well, I quite like it, but it has to be good. So there are very good systems and there are systems which are pretty bad. And my test of it is that my wife hates it and hates the idea of it. Not only would she not use it, she doesn't want me using it when I'm driving and she's in the car. So I quietly slip it on. And if she notices and says, turn that off, then I know it's not very good. Because it's like doing heavy braking or something, or a car pulls out into the gap in front of you and it hasn't noticed for a fraction of a second and carries on barreling towards it. But if she doesn't notice, then I think it's a pretty good system. So that's my test.
Yes, exactly. Well, there you go. I mean, with the idea, there's legislation now, isn't there, that they're sort of doing pilots on more fully autonomous stuff within the next year or so, as the government's sort of rolling out this pilot thing. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, until I can trust adaptive cruise control and traffic sign recognition, I had a electric Fiat recently, and it was absolutely convinced that it was 120-mile-an-hour speed limit on the motorway for quite some time as well. So until I sort of see that being more reliable, and it's not just Fiat, it's every car. So I had a Volvo EX30 do a sort of almost emergency stop for absolutely no reason. Just, it does that thing where it suddenly misreads the road, and there's a car on the opposite side of the road, and it just slams the brakes on just momentarily. It's absolutely terrifying. And very exciting for the car following you as well. So that's always good. Anyway,
So trailers, because we were talking about trailers last week, because Nicola had her first experience of towing a trailer. And Tradewind25 says, reversing a trailer, as someone who's used to tow gliders regularly. Can you imagine towing a glider? I mean,
no,
they're about
really,
the length of the M1, aren't they? It's just... Oh, God. The rule I was taught was simply this. Place one hand on the bottom of the steering wheel. If you want the rear of the trailer to go right, move your hand to the right and vice versa. Never turn the wheel too far and drive slowly. And Tony Watts I2H says, reversing, put your hand at the bottom of the steering wheel. If you want to go left, move your hand to left, 9 o'clock, and right to move right, 3 o'clock. Now, I'd heard this too and thought it was that simple. But the physics don't seem to apply whenever I try. It just... Or the trouble is that you get the trailer to go in the right direction, but then the car ends up in a ditch or in the parked car next to it. Or I'm going to have to practice.
Yeah, I think so. I think I found a really, really big car park, Tom, really massive, with nothing to hit, and then practice away. You can. Well, I mean, actually, on the subject of the semi-autonomous stuff, there are some pretty reasonable trailer reversing systems these days, aren't there? Which I think are actually quite good. The last time I used one was years ago, so I don't know what they're like now. It was a little bit sketchy then, but I remember that was a Volkswagen system, I think, and I remember it being pretty impressive actually. But yeah, it'd be interesting to try those. That sort of situation, I could see it being quite good. Right, okay. What do we got on the subject of digital mirrors? Yeah. So at David Vasey 4368, I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. Sorry. On the subject of glasses, why has no one come up with prescription-based screens so that you can set your digital dashboards to your prescriptions for those of us that need different focal lengths for driving and seeing the dials? Interesting.
Now, initially, I thought this was that April Fool, which I think BMW did years and years ago, of prescription windscreens, so you didn't have to wear your glasses anymore. But then now I read it again, I'm like, no, he's serious. That you would just focus the dashboard to be your correct. That's quite a clever idea. So you have the settings for your seat and your radio and your aircon and everything else. If you could actually set it to do that. I mean, I don't know. There are probably some optometrists out there or someone who could tell us if that would work or not. But it does seem like a clever idea, doesn't it?
It does, because I mean, I'm very long-sighted. I wear glasses, and so it's. So I mean, I can not have my glasses on and I can see a long way absolutely fine. But seeing things close up, like the touchscreen and this kind of thing, could be tricky. But then I suppose if you've got eyesight sort of shortcomings like that, probably you're going to be wearing contacts or glasses anyway, aren't you? So maybe then having a focal difference, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's about, so you wouldn't need to have bifocal lenses because you're looking down at the dashboard.
Yes.
And that,
yeah. See, I don't need bifocals.
Like the heads-up display is at the same focal length as you're looking at so that's why you don't have to refocus on it, because if you're looking forward and then you look down at the dashboard, your eyes have to refocus on the dashboard. So a head-up display, you don't have to do that. So that's why it's better. It's not just that you're not looking down as far; it's that you're not constantly doing that. So if you could do the same for the dashboard,
that would make sense, wouldn't it?
Let's patent it now. Yeah, I'm going to change my name to David Vasey 4368.
I was going to say, I think David Vasey 4368 might need to patent that. Good idea. And yes, any optometrists out there that can comment and tell us whether that is or isn't possible, or indeed is or isn't a good idea, you probably know better than us. So yeah.
So there was some discussion about our news that the VW Group electric cars are going to be range extenders. And Stephen
Yes.
Wensley says, I had hoped hybrids would die out after people experience the electric mode, but the return of the range extenders suggests people will be pushed into hybrid phase 2. What's the point of a range extender in Britain? BEV range is more than enough to cover the vast majority of this country. I have never come across a good range extender. I mean, Mike owns one, and I don't think he'd buy another one now, would he? Because it costs twice as much to do everything. It's twice as much to service because it's got two engines. I think he did use it in the early days when he couldn't charge in places. He would occasionally have to fire up the petrol motor, but otherwise it's just lugging around a petrol engine and a battery. I did try that Mazda MX-30, which was utter nonsense because it had the fuel consumption of a Range Rover when it was running in petrol mode, and the electric efficiency of an old EQC or something. I mean, it was the worst of all worlds,
Yes.
and just a scientific curiosity, and that was it. So maybe they'll be brilliant. I'm just not seeing it yet.
I don't know. I'm sort of in agreement with what everybody else has said. I just feel like electric cars have already proven that they can really cover the needs of the everyday car, can't they? I'm going to be driving a electric Hyundai across France in a week or two. I've got absolutely no qualms about doing that. I just don't know why, I don't know. It just feels like, as you say, you've got the worst of both worlds in that instance. I mean, I didn't mind the i3 range extender. I thought the i3 range extender is pretty cool, but I do know, well, yeah, I know from Mike's experience and various others that sometimes they can be problematic. So yeah, I don't know. We'll find out, won't we? I suppose. I just don't really know. It seems like an extreme length to go to effectively just kind of cancel out range anxiety that ultimately probably is just a case of educating people rather than needing to stick a petrol engine in the back of the car. Anyway, that's such as I try not to get weary of the whole thing, really. But there you go. There you go. Yeah, it's all good. Right, what else have we got?
Yeah, we're talking of charging on the subject of indoor charging because we were talking about how what's not Nedcar? That's the what's the Dutch company charging company with the Fastned. Yes, they're planning an indoor charging hub in Aberdeen. And Patty the Geek says, I've seen some indoor charging spots popping up in the US, partnered with other car services such as car washing and detailing. You drive in to do the brushes car wash, park at the end where they have the vacuums, and you can plug in while you're vacuuming your vehicle and then drive away when you're done. You don't get a ton of energy, but there's a good 15-minute top up while you take care of your car. All this inside a giant warehouse, so you're covered at the same time. Now, that would be great for me, but not for a lot of members of the team who don't know what a car wash is.
Well, naming no names. I think it's quite a good idea. All I want to know is whether there are solar panels on the roof. I'm so frustrated with there being these, of us not putting solar panels on top of car parks and charging stations, and it seems like such a no-brainer to me. So yeah, I'm all for it, but please put some solar panels on the roof, and then I'm there. Yeah,
it has solar panels on the roof. Well, the one they're planning in Aberdeen does.
I was going to say I might not be at that one because it's quite a long way for me to go for a 15-minute car wash. But it's
and is it ever sunny in Aberdeen?
Yeah, but there you go. Right, what else we got on the subject of leasing? Okay, so at Brian Evans 8127. Hi guys, about finance, I did a fairly quick comparison between lease deals and paying cash on a Tesla Model 3. The lease deals turned out cheaper for the first 6 or 7 years overall. It's well worth doing the calculations. That is a good point, actually. Yeah, so it is that kind of thing. You do have to really get the calculator out and kind of go into finer detail, don't you? We've also got a message from @Neil R. Williams 218. When dealers have pushed PCP arrangements, they've often said you can pay it off quite quickly. So taking the finance with a decent discount and then paying it off as soon as possible could be cheaper. That's interesting. See, I would have thought that the PCP, you're in a fixed contract and have to pay a certain amount per month, but there is obviously a clause you can pay it off earlier.
Yeah, there was when I bought my Leaf, which was obviously many years ago. There was a finance deal, and they did say, "Well, you can pay it off if you want to get that bonus," because I think it was £1,000 cash back.
Yeah.
You can pay it off straight afterwards. But I'm like, well, it's 0%. Why would I pay it off? And like, oh yeah, good point. But I was entirely allowed, I think, after the first payment to to just say, right, well, there's all your money, and I'll just take the cash back you've given, which would have been annoying for them, I'm sure.
Yes. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that's a really interesting fact, isn't it? I didn't know about that. I hadn't crossed my mind that you could do that with PCP.
But I mean, the leasing thing as well. You look at it. Some of the deals that were on, I think at the moment on a Dacia Spring and the Leap Motor C10, which have been quite frankly ridiculous. Some of the lease deals on those, 150 quid a month and things. You just think there's no way you could negotiate enough discount and a low enough finance rate to get that amount of car, 30 whatever it is, £1,000 car for that amount of money. It's not possible. So the leasing company has obviously done that deal and therefore can get it. So I think you need to do the sums, but often leasing so much cheaper.
Yeah, I know there are some amazing lease deals out there. I don't know. You mean a friend of mine got a Vauxhall Grandland for £150 a month on a lease deal, which I thought was pretty remarkable. I think it was a pre-reg, it turned out, but I thought that was pretty impressive, really. So you can get some amazing deals out there. But isn't that all good news?
It is. Well, we should probably wrap it up now. I think that's more than half an hour. So
we've done the obligatory more than a kilowatt half hour. More than exactly.
Is everybody back from holiday? Oh, you're away next week, aren't you?
I'm away for a couple of weeks. Yeah, so I'm out in France.
Nice.
Yes, exactly. So it should be good fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Been on Duolingo to learn the language and all that, have you?
Mange 2, all of that. I'm fluent now. It's all good.
Just shout loudly and wave your arms. It'll be fine.
Sorry, France. I apologise to anybody who speaks French. It's a beautiful language, and I am a terrible, terrible person.
Où est le charger rapide, s'il vous plaît?
Où est le charger rapide? Oh, my goodness me. On that note, I really think we should probably let people go just before this gets any worse.
If you have any other handy French phrases, please let us know in the comments.
Do let me know. Yeah, exactly. Marvellous. Right. Well, there you go.
All right. See you next time.
Okay. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.